Okay. Well, so did you want to talk a little bit about Fallout 76? Because I kind of wanted to talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit.
let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
So,
definitely some controversy going there.
so there's a couple different things. One is, I guess, a lot of people are upset over the fact that Fallout 76 isn't going to have any like NPC characters, which I am having a really hard time understanding like why people are upset about it. I mean, like, what do you think about this? I mean,
I,
like, as
I
far
think the
as
reason so many people are pissed off is because they're forcing you, with the no NPC characters, no human NPC characters,
uh-huh.
they're forcing you to interact with the other people on the map. So let's say hypothetically me and you play together, right?
Right.
There's no other characters to interact with except you. So
Right.
now they're forcing me to interact with you. People don't necessarily like that aspect of it. They want other characters to interact with that are
So
not other
I
characters playing the game.
and so what you're saying is people are mad about the idea that this is an online game.
Correct.
So I guess my 2 points here would be A, this isn't a main series Fallout game. This isn't like a titled game. I mean, it's not Fallout 5. This is obviously an offshoot. That's why it's called Fallout 76. It's something different, you know. And B, if you want a single player game where you talk to NPCs and that's what you do, and you don't want to interact with other players, go play Fallout 4. Honestly, like I was not excited for Fallout 5 at all, or Fallout 76 at all, until I saw the gameplay and I saw like what you could do and how fun this could be, and I'm totally on board the Fallout train now. Like I'm so excited about it, and I don't get it. Like all these people were like, "Well, it's not gonna have a single player experience." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's not the point." And I understand they can't cater to everybody, but they're trying something new. I mean, let them try something new. Why not? Like, and if you don't like it, don't play it. Honestly, like I really hate that whole like, oh well, it's not what I wanted argument. It really like irks me really bad.
I mean, to each their own is what I say on that particular one. I think a lot of people just really enjoyed the single player mode. Like they just want to be able to. I don't think anybody's necessarily completely upset that it is an online game. I think I said yes to that. I don't think that's particularly the thing. It's that there's going to be no human NPCs. That's really the huge major gripe of the whole game. Is that you have to play. They're basically forcing you to interact with all the other characters on the map.
So we're worried that we're not going to get people like this, because we love that wonderful voice acting and the facial expressions of the engine of the that they're currently using. They really need a new engine. I guess is my point. I hate the way the character models and the animations and the facial animations in the Fallout series and the Elder Scrolls series. I think it's like one of their weakest points, and I don't particularly think the stories are ever that great. And I guess I get that you want a single player game, but that's going to be Fallout 5, and Fallout 4 wasn't really that long ago. And I guess the other reason I get super defensive would be I want Elder Scrolls 6 before I want a Fallout 5, and so if you skip my Elder Scrolls game and you get another Fallout game before I get my Elder Scrolls game, that's not fair to me.
Well, I think another big thing too was a lot of people's arguments for this is that nobody really asked for it. But now that it's here, a lot of people are very excited about it, which I was excited about it before you were excited about it. And then you changed your mind. But it's kind of one of those things where, like, I think people were on the fence about it until they actually saw what it was.
Right.
And then they were just like, disappointment.
I mean...
But I think a lot of people said, I wish that they wouldn't have gone back and made a prequel game and would have just made Fallout 5 instead of wasting their time on this game.
Right,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Right. I mean, but this could be like a really good experience, though. I mean, who's to say? I mean, they said that they're gonna have protections in place to keep people from just griefing other people. Like, say you build your base, there's gonna be something in place to where I can't just come like kill you over and over again, or like just keep shanking you. Which I mean, I plan on getting this game, and I hope you do too. And that's gonna be really my only objective. It's probably going to be just come after you. I'm going to get those launch codes and I'm going to blow up your base. So I don't know. I'm excited for the game. I think there's a lot of good opportunities there for I guess for the crowd that would want to, would be like, kind of like a role playing type thing, or you could send people out on quests. It's up to people to make their own world at this point, and I mean, it could turn something really cool, and it could also be terrible, I guess. So I do see both sides. I just think that because they're trying something new, they should be given the benefit of the doubt to try something new and see how it turns out. If it's a pile of hot garbage, like, I guess they probably won't do it again. It'll be straight back to Fallout 5, and everybody will be happy, I guess. So I don't know. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is Fortnite, and I know I kind of touched on one of these a little bit about the Sony Fortnite controversy in my Fortnite review. But I don't know. What do you think? So, did you read basically about how like it all comes down to like money for Sony as far as like why they won't let people like switch over their account or have a shared account?
It's so dumb. I don't understand. And then for the response that Sony had to all of those players,
right?
It just was a slap in the face, and it just was like, what are you doing to your community?
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It's almost like they're acting like Square Enix during E3. You know what I mean?
Well,
like giving us a bunch of crap.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So basically, for anybody that may not be like up to date on this, basically, if you have a PlayStation, you play Fortnite on PlayStation, and that's where you have your Epic Games account linked. You can't transfer that over to like the Switch or the Xbox or anything else. But if I'm on Xbox and I have an Epic Games account, I can play Fortnite on my Xbox and my Switch or my PC, just not on PlayStation. And what we're finding out is basically why Sony has said no to this is because they don't want somebody buying like a cosmetic or vanity item on the Xbox store for money and then using it on PlayStation. Which is like just a load of crap. Like, let the players play. Like, I mean, who cares if you don't get a slice? They just want their slice of pie, is what it sounds like to me, and they don't want to miss out on that opportunity for money. So, but I think it really paints Sony in a really bad light to be doing something like this. I mean, obviously, someday Fortnite's going to go away, and it's not going to be the hottest game in the world anymore. But right now, it is. This is what everybody's playing. And if you're generating ill will towards the biggest community out there right now, like that's a bold move, Cotton. I mean,
well, I will tell you this, PlayStation fans do not forget. Let me tell you that.
No, they really don't
forget.
They don't ever.
And so when you decide to, not have something like this going forward where everybody else is, we're not going to forget about this. We're going to remember this.
Absolutely.
Just like we all remembered what happened during what was that one game that Sony ended up flipping the Switch for a second and everybody could play?
No, it was the actual company itself that actually, it was a server configuration. I think it was Rocket League.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. And everybody played together for like an hour, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, our bad." And I almost think it was like semi-intentional, like just to test the waters and see what would happen.
I think it was a jab at Sony, if anything.
Yeah.
Because if you look at this right now, every other company does not care. Every other company, it's only Sony. You would think out of all the companies that would have a big deal like this, it would be Nintendo. You would seriously think it would be Nintendo.
Oh, God, yeah.
You literally use one clip of anything Nintendo in your video, bam, copyrighted. Like, screw you, anything Nintendo.
I mean, this video is going to get copyrighted just for saying Nintendo.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Just for saying Nintendo, it's going to get copyrighted. But it's just crazy to me that Sony would be the one doing this.
Yeah.
Like, you would think it would be... This is like some kind of petty crap Nintendo would pull on all of their fans.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
not
for sure.
Sony.
Yeah.
But here we go. I mean,
here we are.
It had to be from somebody.
Yeah, and I think that, and I've said this before, I think it's because Sony's in first place in the console wars right now. Like, they feel like they can do kind of whatever they want. If the tables were flipped, I'm curious. If Microsoft was in Sony's position where they had more consoles out than anybody else, and they were the rousing success, would this be the same scenario? Would it still be Sony doing this, or would Sony be promoting that cross-play feature, the fact that you can do that, and Microsoft would be saying, no, we want our slice of pie? So I don't know. I mean, obviously, we'll never know. But it's all just, I think, a matter of circumstance sometimes. There's also a funny article, like, not funny, but an article about Fortnite addiction. Parents send their 9-year-old daughter to rehab after she became addicted to playing Fortnite.
Yeah, this is a crazy story. I don't know if any of you have actually read this or seen this or anything like that, or even heard about, a rehab addiction for Fortnite. But the craziest thing overall for this is parents living in the UK sent their 9-year-old daughter to rehab after she became addicted to a video game called Fortnite, which obviously a lot of you are familiar with Fortnite. We've been talking about it, but
Uh-huh.
what had happened is the girl had played up to 10 hours a day, slept through classes, wet herself instead of going to the bathroom, according to her mother. So what had happened is she would play this game extensively, go to school, then she would start falling asleep, and then the teacher started noticing. So then the teacher notified the parents, and then the parents tried to kind of combat this by like lessening her hours on the game, but that didn't matter. Like she still figured out a way to play the game. And then they
Right.
would find her in the morning after she's played and not slept. She was so addicted to this game, she would not move from where she was to go use the bathroom. She literally would piss where she was. It didn't matter where she was. She
Yeah,
just would pee.
and it says it in the article here, and it does say the parents tried to limit her time to like like an hour during a school day and 2 hours on the weekends, but she was like at night she would get up and go play and stuff like that. And it says they found her sitting on a urine-soaked cushion playing the game, blah blah blah. So I have a couple thoughts about this. I don't know. I think that gaming can definitely be an addiction, especially when you're super young. I mean, when I was young, I was definitely one of those kids, where I had a Super Nintendo, I had a Sega Genesis, and I would like, at nighttime, I would like, when I got put to bed, I would like lay there until I literally heard my parents close their door to their bedroom on the other side of the house. I would like listen and wait for it, and I would turn on my TV, turn the volume down, and sit there and like be playing Shining Force or Super Mario or whatever, and I would play until like 3 in the morning, and then I'd wake up for school at like 7. And I mean, I was always pretty good with like not having a whole lot of sleep. Like I always did pretty well with it, and so it didn't affect me that much. In school, I was still able to like do my assignments and stuff like that. But when I was that age, I definitely was exactly like that. But you know what? Like if I had to get up to go pee, I had to get up to go pee. There was never a time where I was like, this match is pretty important, so better just let it go.
Yeah, I honestly, to tell you the truth, from thinking that far back, I can't think of a time ever that I was that invested in something that I just could not get up out of my seat to go use the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean that to me is super crazy, and I don't know, that to me is indicative of like that child. I don't think that this is like a normal thing. I think that child is in a different mental state. Like her addiction is so severe. These are the people that like she's like that type of person that like if she lived in Vegas, she'd be like mortgaging her house and losing it in the casino like immediately. Like as an adult, like that's the type of mentality that this little girl has. And that brings me to another thing where they've classified I think it's in the EU, video game addiction as like a mental health condition,
Hmm.
and they're saying like violent and by the way, anybody ever like I know this is kind of going on in the United States right now, like they're trying to blame like violent video games on like gun violence and stuff like that. There are no real studies out there that show like a real correlation between like real violence and video games. If anything, and a lot of people out there that play video games as children will say like, hey, yeah, no, video games to me were an outlet. Like an outlet for like if I was like angry or whatever, I'd get on like Grand Theft Auto and go run people over or whatever. There's no credence to that statement in my opinion. That's just coming from a gamer, obviously. But them classifying this as a like a disease, like video game addiction, that's crazy to me. That I don't know. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts, dude?
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely is interesting how far modern science has come when it comes to like medical issues.
Uh huh.
Because I feel like, I mean, I can understand how this can be an addiction and there's an addiction behind it,
Right.
but I don't necessarily see how they can say that it's a mental condition kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I've played games where I've gotten really addicted, like Castle Crash or what's that game we used to play a lot of?
When?
That game that was like Castle Crashers, but you played as like the Vikings, and you had to build the little towers and the walls and the
Castle Clash
or Clash of Clans.
Oh god, I hate that
Oh
game
my
so
God,
much.
yeah, Clash of Clans. Anyways, I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on that game. And I was addicted to it. Me and T-Rec 87 both spent money on that game. I
We
think I
both
spent
did.
think I may have spent more money.
I mean, I don't know. I had student loan money at the time, so I was pretty like,
more than I did.
YOLO.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's one of those things where you're just like, when you have that little bit of extra money and you really want that thing, even though you know you shouldn't, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know what it is in my head that makes me want to do that, but it does happen. Now, does that make me have some kind of psychological condition because I wanted to purchase an in-game app? No.
I don't think so. No.
I think that girl may have other problems stemming not from gaming. And
Right.
I think they want to use the game as the problem.
Right, like the game is the problem.
The game is the problem.
No.
I don't think it's the game. I think there's something else going on there that this little girl is having a hard time dealing with. So I think that them saying Fortnite is the problem and you have an addiction to Fortnite, I think there's something else going on there.
Oh, yeah. And I think as a parent, like, you have to, I mean, definitely, like, obviously, like, deep down in my heart, but, like, one of my greatest joys is going to be when my kids, someday turn into gamers. I'm not saying that they will. Maybe they'll hate video games. Maybe they'll just be all about, and if they're all about playing outside and doing so outside, like, I'll totally support it, and I'll totally go with them and join in. But, obviously, I want to play video games with my kids some days. I've got two boys. I've got twin boys. And I think I've thought a lot about this, where I think about, like, my childhood experiences, and I think, yeah, it's okay to let them play games, but you have to teach them that you have to do other things first. Like, you have to do, like, your schoolwork first, you have to, and there's other things in life besides video games. And video games will always be there, and as long as you teach your kid that, like, hey, there's other things out there. I think that's just an important thing to convey to your child, that the video games are not the only thing, and as long as you just teach them right, and I think being involved and not just letting them sit in their room by themselves is a lot of it. Like, if you just leave somebody in isolation and let them feed their addiction, like, it's just gonna, like, compound itself. But if you sit there and actually play with your kid for a while and get involved with them and, like, have a conversation about it, and you can talk about it together, and when you have time to play together, like, I think it can be a really positive experience. But when you just when you just leave your kid sitting in their room and they're, like, wetting their pants, I almost think that that's more the parents' fault than the child's at that point, And I don't know that checking the child into rehab was the best situation either. But maybe just in their situation, that's all they had left option wise. I can't judge, I guess. So I don't know. I hate social issues like this because I love video games. So I don't know.
I'd say it's a very touchy subject, but
yeah.
I mean, my honest opinion is you can't blame Fortnite.
No.
You can't blame the game.
No, you can't.
You can't blame game.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna blame games, why don't we go back to when Call of Duty released the infamous airport scene?
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Nobody really made a big deal about that. A lot of people did talk about it and say it was very controversial, but they didn't ban that game.
No, but that was, if you remember, dude, like, news outlets picked up on that though hardcore, because this was still, like, where, like, news was, like, a big source of information. Back in that day, I guess, and everybody, they were all slamming the anti-video game agenda.
I will
really.
tell you this though: if they accomplished anything with them trying to slam that and that scene, the only thing they actually did was make it more popular.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that's absolutely the truth. I mean, is that when you call, like, attention to something like that, like, like, whether you want to or not, when you're calling that negative attention on something, like, all you're calling really is attention. That's what they always say, like, like, in Hollywood, like, any publicity is good publicity, or bad press
is good.
Yeah, whatever that saying is about, like, bad press is always good or whatever. Like, calling attention to something only, gets people's attention, and no matter what, that, whether it's a negative or positive, like, attention is, like, a good thing, So, I do agree with you there.